pretty appropriate what we were talking about before, because a lot of the same concepts we just talked about, we're going to talk about in this lesson as well, which is quite good. So we're going to talk about gas exchange. And we'll just start off with, we just went over some of this, so we should remember what's this. Okay, and so what is the primary purpose for a leaf in a plant? Yeah, photosynthesis, okay? So that's the primary job is photosynthesis. Okay. What does a leaf need to photosynthesize? What are the different things? Pardon?
Sunlight.
Okay, yeah, so first it needs light. We got light. What else does it need? Water. Water, okay, so it needs water, and we just talked about water, so where? H2O, that's our water. Where is that water coming from? Alright, so we've got the roots down here. Water's flowing up through the xylem. You got it. So it's flowing up through the xylem, okay, into the petiole, okay, just the little part of the leaf here, and it's going to come out through the veins into the and deliver to all the different parts of the cell. Okay, so that's where our water is coming from. What else do we need?
Carbon dioxide.
Pardon?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide, yes. So we need carbon dioxide. Where does the carbon dioxide come from? So we got carbon dioxide coming from here. So it's entering the leaf. And what else? So that's the two things we need. We need carbon dioxide and water. So that's the first part. Carbon dioxide plus water. And we said we needed light. And what does that give us?
Oxygen and sugar.
Okay, so yeah, sugar in the form of, does anyone know what the first thing it makes? Glucose, which I just wrote on the board. Okay, so, and oxygen, right? So we have then oxygen coming out of the leaf. What else comes out of the leaf as well as oxygen? One is a byproduct kind of in this, but also because just the sunlight in general, we just talked about that as well. But what's pulling that water up through the stem? So what else comes out actually? I jumped ahead of myself. What else comes out of the leaf? Yeah, water. Yeah, exactly, water. So water's coming out as well. And how is that water coming out of the leaf? Evaporation, but what's that kind of process that pulls it?
Respiration.
Transpiration, okay? So this is transpiration, which is very similar. So it's not quite the same, but it's similar to evaporation. So it's, the heat and the sunlight is actually, water's transpiring, similar to evaporating, coming out of our body and exiting, okay? So, these are the different steps we need for this reaction, okay? So we know that that's the primary process, what we're trying to do. So we know the leaves are responsible for this photosynthesis. So how do they get these gases? So we know it needs carbon dioxide and it emits oxygen and water. So we know the water is coming up here inside the stem. How is the leaf taking in these gases and releasing them? Anybody know by what process? Or even what structure? What is it that it's actually doing? Yeah, so it's passing in and out through the stomata. Okay? Okay, and this is what we are going to look at today. Okay, so we'll start here. We're going to move, and I'm just going to erase this stuff so we can see. Can you guys see that, or is that okay? Good. Okay, so this is the basic structure inside of our leaf. So, what is the stomata made out of? It's on there, so you can find it. Does anybody know what the different parts of the stomata are? Okay, so the stomata are these little pores down here. Okay? So basically, this whole structure here is technically all kind of part of the stomata. So we've got guard cells, which are these little cells right here. Okay? The hole right there is the stoma, hence the name stomata, which just means pore. And then this airspace inside. Okay, so it's basically a little hole in the leaf that gases can move in and out of. Right? So why do you think we might need a big airspace inside the leaf for these gases to move in and out of? When we think about how do gases move around a plant? Pardon? Yeah, exactly, diffusion. So we're moving from. So what is diffusion? It's how gases move. What's the kind of basic process behind it?
Partial pressure.
Yeah, so we're looking at partial. We're going from a high concentration to a low concentration. Right? So this is the kind of process that these gases are going to move in and out. So we need a bit of, basically, to make a difference in concentration between the two different sources of air. So we've got, inside here, we've got lots of oxygen, because as these plants photosynthesize, they're releasing oxygen. Okay? And that means there's lots of oxygen here, and there's less outside, so the oxygen flows out. And then outside here, we've got lots of CO2, because we all breathe out CO2, lots of other things release it, so there's lots of CO2 and not very much in here, so that flows in. Okay? That's the basic process of this. And we also have water, so if we get a lot of evaporation, a lot of heat coming out here, you're going to get water coming out here as well. Okay? So quickly, we'll just look at some of the other structures just to make sure you can identify them, so that when we move on to the experiment that we're going to do today, you guys can recognize the different parts. So up on the outside, we've got, hard to see here, but the cuticle. So what's the cuticle?
The waxy layer on the outside?
Yeah, so it's a waxy layer on the outside. It's kind of like a rain jacket, except it's doing the opposite job. So we put on a rain jacket to keep the water from getting us wet. The cuticle is like a rain jacket for the leaf to prevent the water from coming outside of the leaf. Okay? When we've got our epidermis, and it's what? Yeah, it's basically a skin layer, and it's got to be more or less see-through, right? Because the light's got to be able to come through there and get into this area, which is where the mesophyll, which we'll probably talk about in different classes later, and this is where a lot of the photosynthesis takes place, okay? So in this mesophyll there. So the light has to be able to pass through that, so it's mostly clear, okay? And here's those veins we just talked about. It's kind of hard to see, but the veins here, and we've got xylem, phloem. Okay, so water coming in, and then photosynthesizing the sugars go back out. Okay, like we just talked about. Alright, so is that relatively clear to everybody? Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to look a little bit. You can kind of see a little bit what the stomata looks like, but we're going to look at them actually on leaves to see if we can look at the different differences. So what I'll do is I'll pass these around.